Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I've got a little video for you about Player Unknown's Battlegrounds, or PUBG for short. It's a game I've been playing a lot on my second channel. You've probably only seen it a little bit here, but it's eating into my gaming time. It's eating into my Call of Duty pie. It almost ate my entire Overwatch pie, and I kind of wanted to talk about it, how it plays, do a little proselytization, mostly positive here today, but I do want to talk about the bugs and the nature of it being early access. As of right now, I think it is the best early access game ever made, which is kind of a big statement, because so far it has none of the failings of other early access games, and it's genuinely fun in its own right at this very moment. It fills in that little niche in video games that's been kind of empty lately. It fills in that milsim, DayZ, survival mode, sweaty, ultra tryhard, hardcore game kind of niche. That's the one that DayZ used to completely dominate. It got filled in by other games, which we'll talk about later, but in PUBG I love using the compass to make callouts north, south, east, west, how many ticks in each direction, how many meters away they are, exactly what building they're hiding behind, using the map markers to coordinate with my team. I love doing callouts in this game, be like, they're behind the broken wall, blah blah blah, so many vectors here and there, and you do your sweep and clear, you hit the building from multiple sides, you pincer people, you flashbang them, you stun them, the guns are very realistic, every single one is an actual projectile with very realistic travel speed, bullet drop, muzzle velocity, all that sort of thing. Even the sound effects are realistic to how silencers are treated and how footsteps are heard, and the general mechanics of the game make it feel like you're in a real gunfight, albeit a somewhat clunky one, and it's not perfect. Health obviously is somewhat unrealistic and a little bit generous, but not that generous. You get dropped very quickly and frequently. Vehicles are buggy, you can hide in bushes and drink energy drinks to heal yourself, but it's a video game after all, but it's sweaty, hardcore, and fun. Back in the day, I bought DayZ and loved it. If you remember correctly, there were quite a few DayZ videos on this channel. It was a really fun game, but DayZ was a better game without the super buggy zombies, and because of a series of mismanagements, DayZ never lived up to 1% of its true potential. DayZ could have been an amazing game, but it was bungled quite badly, but it did kind of birth the early access model, which is you pay a reduced price for a video game before it comes out. So Rust was, and still is, relatively popular, but it has its own failings of offering DLC and additional content before the bugs and the flaws and the graphical ugliness in the game was fixed. The studio kind of ran out of money and had to release new stuff to earn more before the game was really finished, and not a lot of people appreciate that. H1Z1 went down a similar path, which is very promising, much better than DayZ, and probably still a lot prettier looking than Rust, but they're doing skin trading and add-on content, and it's not making a lot of people happy when there's still bugs in the game. So far, the developers of Player Unknown's Battlegrounds, which of all things is a Korean studio, typically you wouldn't think about them developing this sort of game, but they got into it, has made a promise not to sell a single loot box, a single crate, a single DLC or cosmetic item until the entire game is finished, and I really hope they keep that promise, and they should be able to, because if I'm not mistaken, as of at least 2 or 3 weeks ago, they'd raised a little bit over $30 million in early access sales on Steam, which is a huge budget. Now, the problems that this game has aren't necessarily ones that you can just throw money at and fix instantly, because that's not how management and game development works, but having that much money certainly helps. And I think it's been about 4 months since they released it, so far they're keeping that promise. As much as I like this game, as much as I enjoy it, there's still some major downsides. It is early access, which means there are bugs. And in a game of this scale and size, there are tons of bugs, numerous bugs, hundreds and hundreds of bugs. Some are minor, some are annoying, some are game-breaking, but there's lots of them because it's early access. Perhaps the biggest bug or flaw is that there's bad server desync, better known as super bad lag, and it can cause things like this. The problem herein with early access being that fans are kind of demanding a fix to this lag immediately, because it's the #1 problem, so they think they should put all hands on deck and solve the lag problem. Well, realistically, fixing lag in a game with 120 players that's doing a lot of complicated things is a multi-month process. This is a process that takes a long time, lots of deployments, testing, server upgrades, code upgrades, lots of really complicated stuff, and it's going to take a long time, And so the development team is kind of pushing out smaller updates in the meantime. They're working on graphical tuning, they're working on crashes, they're working on some of the other annoying bugs, and the lag is kind of taking a back seat, which the community finds very frustrating. So the game is not exactly in a great shape right now, but it's still very playable and it's still very fun in its own right. And I think the back-end bug fixes are getting a lot less focus than the glamorous guns they add. I feel like the dev team probably has like a bunch of guns done, and they're just going to slowly add in new guns and new vehicles and new content and things like that over a set period of time, so that every time there's an update, we can be like, look, we've done something. There's something big and visually impactful, and it works, and it's good, and we should, go with it. And I think that's kind of what's getting the focus instead of the bug fixes, because they take longer. It takes months to fix them. It just kind of cements the idea in the head that the team is working on things, but they're open about it, which is good. I even saw them one time, they didn't even do their update. They're like, it's not working, we don't want to break the game, which is good on them. But I have hope. I have hope in PUBG. I actually joined their influencer team, so I can do custom fan servers now. I'll probably be doing that later this week or next week. But the studio so far is making every single right decision. They got a ton of money from early access. They decided not to sell microtransactions and DLC. They decided to be extremely stupidly, ridiculously open with the community about their bug fixes, sometimes at the detriment of their own PR or saving face, but I really think that's a good thing, and it seems to be working. I believe that if Blue Hole Studios can resist the temptation to raise more money, and that is a big temptation because I can guarantee it's a super popular game, even though it's not even full release. If they started selling microtransactions and stuff, they could raise a ton of money very quickly, even at the cost of hurting the community. But if they can resist that temptation and hold out for another 6 months and maybe a year and get this game finished and relatively lag-free, it's 120 players, it's never going to be lag-free, fix the bugs and get it ready for a full-on release, this is going to be a mega hit. I don't think it's going to be a big hit or a big game, because it's already a big game. But if they can keep that promise and stay on track, it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. It's going to be tremendous. The best game. I can't do the Donald Trump thing. But anyway, in case you haven't tried it, I'd recommend PUBG. I have a lot of fun with it, and I stream it pretty often on the second channel. I just felt like talking about it today. I don't know. I know it's very popular in the PC community, but a lot of my subscribers are console subscribers, so just kind of wanted to point you guys in the right direction. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.